we're very pleased to have with us the Deputy Permanent Representative at the U.S. Mission, Peter Mulrean.
Thank you very much, Dan. And I just wanted to say how delighted I am to be here at this event hosted by B'nai B'rith. And Dan already gave the background going back into the mid-19th century. Activism that was focused at first and still has a large part of it on anti-Semitism, but because of that start has really expanded into the larger issues, as you said, of human rights and intolerance more generally. And we can only truly commend the work that you have been doing for so long before the UN make a difference in daily people's lives. And that's why I'd like to mention a few things that don't get in the newspapers, but I think what are the real heart and soul of what takes place in Geneva in making this sort of difference. Because it's the little things that don't make the headlines, but that people outside of Geneva feel that I think makes this place so special. And that can be work together combating pandemics in the World Health Organization, work assisting refugees fleeing conflict or persecution, our work together bringing national weather services together to share common information and forecasting to help farmers around the world. These aren't sexy topics. Human Rights Council, just a couple of words on that. I think many of you know the United States is just starting its second three-year term as a member of the Council. We came in 3 years ago understanding the difficult nature of the Council, its flaws as well as its strengths, and determined to engage and try and make a difference in a positive way. And as we look back on the last few years, I think we feel there has been progress. We can look at a few different areas. First, in calling attention to issues that were ongoing crises in real time. I think if you look at Libya, if you look at Syria, no, the Human Rights Council didn't solve the problems, but they kept the focus of the international community on the problems that were hard to keep the spotlight on the worst offenders in the human rights. And looking at Iran, looking at North Korea, looking at that we don't get used to the horrible abuses that go on in these countries, the way these regimes treat their people, that we have to keep the spotlight on that as well. And I think you will see that spotlight continuing in this very session, including in a strengthened approach toward North Korea, which we think is very important. Finally, we've worked very hard on what we consider some of the real core issues of human rights, on issues of freedom of expression, freedom of association and assembly. These are, for us, many of the foundational issues that allow the resolution we passed by consensus last year on combating religious intolerance. It was not easy to come to consensus on this, and we're hoping, we know it won't be easy again this year, but we're hoping to maintain it. But I think it shows what we can do when we really put our minds together and when we try to come up with a balanced text. And this was very balanced, getting agreement on a text that both deals with the issue of religious intolerance while understanding the need to protect the right of the freedom of expression of the individual. And that's very tricky, and we were very proud of what we accomplished. Getting that balance right is difficult, which brings me to some issues where many of the issues dealing with Israel, the only country that, I was going to say, enjoys its own agenda item. I don't know how much it enjoys that. But the only country that has an agenda item dedicated solely to it, countless resolutions where we believe there is not that balance, either in the number of resolutions or in the content in them. The United States is committed to raising those issues, to speaking out about those issues, both within and outside the council, and we will continue to do that. We work very closely with the government of Israel. Ambassador Manor here is a good friend and colleague. These are difficult issues. We look forward to the day where we can get the balance right on these.